Hi, friends, and welcome to the Human Thrive podcast. So I'm your host, Amanda, coach and consultant and founder of Neurodivergent Thrive Coaching. So here we go deep into science, soul, and strategy of what it means to live fully. So if you're craving clarity, growth, and emotional freedom, this space is for you. And everybody's welcome, neurotypicals, neurodivergents, and anyone not quite sure where they land just yet. So subscribe now and let's start thriving together. So today's podcast is called ADHD, TikTok, and the traits we're not talking about. So tell me, this the TikTok surge and myth explosion. Why today is suddenly everyone thinks they have ADHD? What are the myths and the controversy and why? So let's start. ADHD content on TikTok is booming, whatever. And while some of it's widely validating, a lot of it is very oversimplified. It is for entertainment purposes, I feel. And, a lot of the narrative is if you're unpredictable, you must have ADHD. If you can't finish a book, you must have ADHD. If you're creative and chaotic, welcome to the club. So here's the thing. That can be part of it. But ADHD isn't just an aesthetic. It's not just girl boss in disarray or funny memes about forgetting your laundry 17 times. Although that's very frustrating. It's a neurological or neurodevelopmental condition that can affect every corner of your life. So work, relationships, self-worth. And for many of us, it's been misunderstood or missed for decades. So let's kind of consider evolutionary. There's a theory that it's a hunter-gatherer brain, that it's not a deficit, that it's just a mismatch, that the hunter-gatherer hypothesis that traits associated with ADHD were once strengths like fast responsiveness, high curiosity, scanning environments, shifting focus quickly, that these may have made someone a better hunter, explorer, or innovator. And here's the kicker. If these traits were purely bad, we'd have screened them out biologically, but we haven't. They've evolved and survived. We have survived. So maybe it's not a broken brain. Maybe it's just a brain built for a different world. And today's world rewards sitting still, following plans, being consistent, responding to 100 notifications, but never being distracted. We live in a kind of productivity obsessed, attention taxing system that doesn't work for a lot of brains. So instead of being supported or celebrated, we get labeled lazy, inconsistent, unreliable, scatterbrained. But that's not ADHD. That's ADHD in an unsupportive environment. So why does everyone think they have ADHD? Good question. Because modern life is very overstimulating, where we are all burnt out, we're all doom scrolling, we're multitasking, we're sleep deprived, and those things can mimic ADHD, but mimicking is not the same thing as having it. The real deal, it shows up across time and settings. It's not just distraction, it's dysregulation, emotional, sensory, and social. It's rather swung too far in the direction of understanding than staying stuck in the direction of understanding than years of dismissal. It's working twice as hard to keep up with what others seem to have as easy and a lifetime of feeling like you missed the memo. It doesn't always look hyper. It might look like over-preparing, people-pleasing, perfectionism, like burnout from masking, or constant career shifts that get labelled as flaky, when really they're response to misfit environments. Sometimes ADHD looks like high-functioning chaos or brilliance with a price, or someone who holds it all together until they're alone and shattered and cry on their way home from work. But here, maybe we are... So theory is we're not having too many. We're not being overdiagnosed. That it's actually been underdiagnosed for years. And most people are aware that it presents very differently in females, and that females are more likely to almost mask more to fit in, that they're more aware of being accepted socially. So imagine walking into work every day wearing this invisible mask, and not the kind that protects you from germs, but the kind that hides who you really are. So like smiling when you're overwhelmed, nod when you're confused, and copy how others act even when it feels completely unnatural to you. Doing that every single day is the reality for many neurodivergent workers. Yeah, breaking down the emotional and psychological toll of masking in the workplace takes some doing, and something I'm supporting a lot of people with coaching. And one of my coaching clients I was speaking to recently has a diagnosis of autism and ADHD. She's very good with systems, very highly creative, but struggles in work with pretending not to be overwhelmed when there's a lot of noises, very aware of what she's sounding even in emails. She struggles with social scripts and forcing eye contact, and doesn't want to speak to her manager, although I suspect her manager is, if she knows anything about autism, will realise she's autistic, but maybe not. So for this client, her story's not unique, and there are theories that explain what's happening here. So one is the social identity theory, and it says that we define ourselves by the group we belong to. So we all want to feel accepted, and it's why, certain age we're more vulnerable to peer pressure. We want to feel accepted by our peers, much as we try not to. Sometimes we do. We're wired that way. There's self-categorization theory that my coaching client, Maya, wants to change how she presents herself to fit in better. So she naturally maybe hides some of her traits and does that by mimicking their co-workers. A form of impression management. So it's like we manage how others see us, especially at work. And I suppose we all do that, where you go certain places, you have to act a certain way, and there's just social conventions, and you naturally find yourself conforming to them. Yeah, so it's a wee bit of surface acting. It's like when we fake feelings to appear professional or composed, and this fakiness can drain us mentally and emotionally. And I suppose we all have to do this constantly, because we're in workplaces where we have to be different than when we are, like maybe on a night out when you've had a few drinks. So, and you have to hold on to your resources, because when you're constantly pouring out that energy just to appear normal, you get burnt out. And why autistic burnout or ADHD burnout is more than kind of normal burnout. So this masking can lead to the anxiety, stress, burnout, and imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, lots of people experience, and I think I might do a whole other show on that. But every time a neurodivergent person passes as neurotypical, the pressure to keep that act keeps building, the pressure to hold on to that. And you often see a lot of neurodivergents who burn out, and they maybe can't cope with working full time anymore because of this, which is something I'm speaking with a lot of people in my coaching practice. So for these workplaces, we need to create environments where people feel safe to disclose without fear, and build this psychological safety in, and be able to take care of our own sensory needs, and not all be the same, and not all have to be in a certain noisy office environment. So masking isn't a sign of resilience, it's a sign of survival, and people deserve more than just thriving. So while there's a lot more awareness and stuff because of TikTok, and a lot more understanding about ADHD, especially in women, and a lot more late diagnosed, late identified women with ADHD, I've also spoken to a lot of people who are almost ashamed to say they've had a diagnosis, because they're almost getting that, oh, everyone thinks they have that now. And I got some of that too, and I've heard people talking about me. But to get a diagnosis, you have to have had the problems in all areas of life and before, from you're a child. And maybe everyone's been overstimulated now with phones and YouTube and scrolling on phones. But I never had my first phone till I was 19. Never had internet till I was 19. And I definitely had all them symptoms before. And a lot of, I suppose, mental health things that people wouldn't be aware of that around me. I mean, family are obviously, but like, I mean, like other people are friends and workplaces and stuff. And I'm actually saying it on here, but so a lot of things that people are they're very hidden, and people can look very high functioning, low support needs, but not, in their head, they're not. And a lot of people misunderstood about the hyperactivity, which in females can be very internalized, where you can look, I mean, you could look like you're sitting still and you're listening, but your head could be going, all your thoughts are quick, quick, quick in your head, and not switching off. And so it's very, almost what you would say, a hidden disability, because you just can't see it and it looks functioning. And a lot of people and obviously there's loads of strengths. There's loads of strengths. So yeah, I don't know. And then there's the narrative about superpower, and it's a very confusing time. And obviously there's a lot of controversy over medication and being able to get appointments with your doctor, being able to get your medication by your doctor, or if you go privately. So there's so much going on at the minute, but lots of, interesting times. Interesting times. Anyway, what I was getting to is, so I have an online course that's coming out in September this year, and it's for women late diagnosed or late identified with ADHD. I'm not purposely just leaving men out, but it is going to focus. There's going to be a part in like hormones and how that can impact on women. And I have done postgraduate training in ADHD and autism, and specific courses on coaching for ADHD. And I just am tailoring it to women because I am a woman, and that's what I know, and being a woman in perimenopause and how that impacts. So while it is based around women, men are welcome to buy it too. But it's going to be online, and there's going to be coaching groups along with it. So launching in September, and I will tell you more about it soon. But if you want to join my email list to be one of the first to hear about it when it comes out, it will be on the show notes. I'm also going to be doing some webinars, which will be a group coaching session, and then I can tell you stuff about the course at the end of it. And they will probably be on Eventbrite. Haven't got dates yet, but it will be coming up, so look out for it. And please email me with your stories. Yeah, I look forward to hearing from you. So until next time, remember that thriving isn't a destination. It's a daily relationship with yourself. And this podcast is here to remind you that you're wired to grow, love, and create. And if this episode sparks something in you, I'd love for you to share or subscribe or leave a review. And until next time, your growth is not selfish, it's sacred. So keep choosing you.